One of the realities of producing a documentary series like Back to the Sky is deciding what material is to be excluded from the final project. One such example is the story of former Northern Airways pilot Pat Callison, who flew for the company from 1942 to 47. Born in North Dakota in 1910, he began his flying career in 1939. His first exposure to bush aircraft went back as far as 1936, when he went north to operate a remote trading post at Dease Lake. Here he is, several years before becoming a pilot himself, pumping out the floats of the Northern Airways Fokker Super Universal, CF-AAM. Callison sat down for a rare interview in 1992 to talk about the early days of flight in the Yukon.
What kind of airplanes did you fly when you were with George?
Well, we had several different types of airplanes. There was he had a Waco there that we used to fly a lot, and most of it was Fairchild 71s. And during the war, you see, there was a time when that airplanes were very scarce in Canada. You could hardly pick up a second-hand airplane. But in the States, there were quite a few of them. You know, that is about the time that they were changing from one type of an airplane to another in the States. There were several of these Fairchild 71s and stuff like that in the States. So during the war, along in 42 and 43, I ferried 4 of these airplanes in from the States for George Simmons, and I think in my book there's pictures of all of them in there.
I think you had an experience with a 71, a Fairchild 71, I think BXH at Quiet Lake.
Well, BXH, that was the fall in December. It's on my birthday, the 18th of December. I just ferried it in from New York about a month before, and they'd gone, cleaned it all up and had it all shipshape. And a fellow by the name of Herb Nightingale, he was an engineer, so him and I, we were heading right through, and we planned to go right on through to Norman Wells. Well, we got into the mountains there south of Ross River, and we ran into weather, and I mean, it was really bad, you see. So I said, well, we'll go back to Quiet Lake with an army camp there. We'll go back down there and wait for weather, you see. So we went down there. Now, I'd been working in that lake there the year before, landing in the same place, and it was, and we got a report on it too. And it was, the army told the report they gave, it was okay for skis. So we went back, and when we got to the army camp, we circled around, and it was really low weather, you know. And I went in and landed on the lake right in front of the camp, or about a half mile from the camp. Everything went fine as we got onto when she started to slow up and the weight came on it, and I wasn't really worried about it because I figured the ice had been tested, but it had never been tested at all. I didn't know how much it was. And it was probably about a foot and a half of snow. And went down in this. Well, when it went down in the snow, well, it didn't stop. It went right on down. And so before you could say Jack Robinson, well, the water were running right in on us, you see. Well, Herb was on the road behind, and he crawled out through the back door, and by the time I got back through there, well, as soon as I got down, well, the water all come in the front, you see. I was right under the water, and I went back through, and when I crawled out, he was getting ready to go back to try to get me out. Well, anyway, we got out on top of the airplane, and with that airplane, you see, had this, you know, the 52-foot wingspread on it, and that holds up more down to the ice, you see, and that held it up. Well, if it had gone on down, well, we'd have been drowned there. But anyway, it held it there. So we got out on top of the wings, and we got looking at the ice, and God, it was practically no ice, you know, at all. We were even scared to walk on it. So Herb, he had a pair of white overalls, and we made a rope out of that. And he got a hold of one end, and I got a hold of the other, and that's the way we went to shore. You know, we wouldn't get through. We got into the army camp there, and got dried up, and it was snowing, you know, and not cold weather, you know, around about 0. So by the time we got up to the camp, we were both pretty well ready to thaw out. We got in there and dried out and got something to eat, and we were all right. But the airplane then, it stayed there for about 2 weeks before we finally got back in and got out. We got enough ice to work on. And it was 35 feet of water where we went in, you see. And so there was no way we'd have got out of there if it had gone on down. And we took some long poles in there and got it down and pulled it and raised it, you see. And we couldn't fly the airplane again because it was all full of water and ice stuff. So we put skis on it and flew it out of there and got it back to Carcos. It was in the water there for probably 3 weeks or a month, I think.
But you went back into service.
Oh, yeah.
Pat Callison left Northern Airways in 1947 and started Callison's Flying Service, a fixed-wing operation based in Dawson. He then sold that company in 1956 and founded Klondike Helicopters, the Yukon's first local helicopter company. He retired from flying in 1966 and was awarded the Order of Canada for his contribution to aviation in the Yukon in 1974. He is, and will always be, a Yukon original.